Today we're reading references out of As Bill Sees It to Willingness, Part 2, beginning on page 211, Reaching for Humility. We saw we needn't always be boondoggled and beaten into humility. It could come quite as much from our volunteer reaching for it as it could from unremitting suffering. We first reach for a little humility, knowing that we shall perish of alcoholism if we do not. After a time, though we may still rebel somewhat, we commence to practice humility because this is the right thing to do. Then comes the day when, finally freed in large degree from rebellion, we practice humility because we deeply want it as a way of life. 219, willing to believe. Do not let prejudice that you may have against spiritual terms deter you from honestly asking yourself what they might mean to you. At the start, this was all we needed to commence spiritual growth, to effect our first conscious relation with God as we understood Him. Afterwards, we found ourselves accepting many things which had seemed entirely out of reach. That was growth. But if we wished to grow, we had to begin somewhere. So at first, we used our own conception of God, however limited they were. We needed to ask ourselves but one short question. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there is a power greater than myself? As soon as a man can say that he does believe, even in this small degree, or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him he is on his way. 226. Humility for the fellowship, too. We of AA sometimes brag of the virtues of our fellowship. Let us remember that few of these are actually earned virtues. We are forced into them to begin with by the cruel lash of alcoholism. We finally adopted them not because we wished to, but because we had to. This, as time confirmed the seemingly rightness of our basic principles, we began to conform because it was right to do so. Some of us, notably myself, conformed even then with reluctance. But at last we came to a point where we stood willing to conform gladly to the principles which experience, under the grace of God, had taught us. 232. The value of human will. Many newcomers, having experienced little but constant deflation, feel a growing conviction that human will is of no value whatever. They have become persuaded, sometimes rightly so, that many problems besides alcohol will not yield to a headlong assault powered only by the individual's will. However, there are certain things which the individual alone can do, all by himself, and in the light of his own circumstances, he needs to develop the quality of willingness. When he acquires willingness, he is the only one who can then make the decision to exert himself along spiritual lines. Trying to do this is actually an act of his own will. It is the right use of this faculty. It is the right use of this faculty. Indeed, all of AA's 12 steps require our sustained and personal exertion to conform to their principles, and so we trust to God's will. (321) Results of prayer. As the doubter tries the process of prayer, he should begin to add up the results. If he persists, he will almost surely find more serenity, more tolerance, less fear, and less anger. He will acquire a quiet courage, the kind that isn't tension-ridden. He can look at failure and success for what these really are. Problems and calamity will begin to mean his instruction instead of his destruction. He will feel freer and saner. The idea that he may have been hypnotizing himself by autosuggestion will become laughable. His sense of purpose and direction will increase. His anxieties will commence to fade. His physical health will be likely to improve. Wonderful and uncountable things will start to happen. Twisted relations in his family and on the outside will improve surprisingly. 327. Three choices. The immediate object of our quest is sobriety, freedom from alcohol and from all its baleful consequences. Without this freedom, we have nothing at all. Paradoxically, though we can achieve no liberation from the alcohol obsession until we become willing to deal with those character defects which have landed us in that helpless condition. In this freedom quest, we are always given three choices. A rebellious refusal to work upon our glaring defects can be an almost certain ticket to destruction. Or perhaps, for a time, we can stay sober with a minimum of self-improvement and settle ourselves into a comfortable but often dangerous mediocrity. Or finally, we can continuously try hard for those sterling qualities that can add up to fitness of spirit and action, true and lasting freedom under God. And our final reading today, 328, a newfound providence. When dealing with a prospect of agnostic or atheistic bent, you had better use everyday language to describe spiritual principles. There is no use arousing any prejudice he may have against certain theological terms and conceptions about which he may already be confused. Don't raise such issues, no matter what your own convictions are. Every man and woman who has joined AA and intends to stick has, without realizing it, made a beginning on step 3. Isn't it true that in all matters touching upon alcohol, each of them has decided to turn his or her life over to the care, protection, and guidance of AA? Already a willingness has been achieved to cast out one's own will and one's own ideas about the alcohol problem in favor of those suggested by AA. Now, if this is not turning one's will and life over to a newfound providence, then what is?